This is the Joy Act. I'm transition strategist Dr. Lisa Summerour, and I want you to know that transitions, well, they're a part of life. Here, we share what that looks like, the messy parts, the breakthroughs, the real and rewarding work of becoming the best version of you. Navigating your way through that requires accountability, alignment, communication, and trust. Welcome to that conversation. I need another word other than excited. I'm like beside myself. That's what I'm going to be today. I'm going to be beside myself because every now and then you are reminded of how much the internet is able to keep us together and reconnect us with people from decades ago. So today I'm going to introduce you to Ayo Haynes. And when I talk about somebody who has had life transitions, she is the poster child of what transitioning gracefully looks like. And I'm not going to say it's easy. I'll let her speak to what challenges she went through, but to do it with the grace that you do it with and have done it with has been something that has impressed me. So we were just talking about where we met, and we may be able to get a little bit, but let's see if we can figure out how many years it's been. Are we pushing 35 years ago?
Definitely 30s, 30 years
Yeah.
ago, because I think I was in my 20s then, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. I was in my late 20s, mid to late 20s when
Mhm.
we met. So, yeah. So it's been a minute, people. It's been a minute. And I think we're holding up quite nicely.
I think it's
Oh,
look, I look at how we changed physically. We both had relaxed hair back then, and now we're
right.
doing our natural hair, aging gracefully. Black don't crack,
No,
you know.
say it again for the people in the back.
Yeah,
Black,
actually,
don't
good
crack.
black don't crack.
Good
Good
black.
black.
Right. Right.
Some black cracks.
Joyful black, don't crack.
There
So
you
I'm
go.
going to do let me just tell you some things about this woman. She's an actress. She's a voiceover artist. She is an award-winning realtor and an award-winning author. She has coached and coaches real estate agents, and she helps coach people in their, well, I'm not going to even give it an age range. She helps coach individuals who are interested in open adoption. And most recently, she's helping those of us over 40 dabble and get into AI without being freaked out and scaring ourselves half to death, because there are so many amazing applications. If you can just get past that, oh, I don't know if I can do this, you can do this. So that's just the short list. That's the stuff that I'm able to rattle off the top of my head, which is crazy because I track her on LinkedIn. So I know what she's doing. And that's one of the things that I absolutely love about being able to get on the internet. It does let you keep in touch with people, but there is nothing quite like this. The only thing better
Yes,
than this would be like coffee and tea and pajamas for a sleepover, would be the only
I
thing that could beat
know.
this. So there are a couple of things that I want to make sure we talk about today. One is just the things that you have transitioned through. I want to talk about what those experiences were like for you, where you found challenges, and I'm going to talk about it in the through the lens of ACT, A-A-C-T, which is accountability, alignment, communication, and trust. I definitely want to talk about your book, The Importance of No Regrets, which right now, folks, if you can't order it right now, you can definitely get on the wait list for the pre-order. So look for that in the link below. I do want to talk about Antarctica because
Yes.
when's the last time I saw a Black woman having a mastermind in Antarctica? That would be never. And then
So much to talk about.
oh my God, and the adoption, because for a short period of time, well, actually for a couple of years, before I moved here, I actually considered it myself. It was one of those things I had started looking at. I was going to do foster parenting first and then go into adoption. So let me start. Is there anything, first of all, that I missed about what you do, what you are doing right now?
I think you covered it all. The only thing you probably missed is that I'm a mother of an 11-year-old who I homeschool. So the plate is super full on a daily basis, and she's
Yes.
into everything. So um, it's just busy, and I love life. I've always wanted to create a life that inspired me first,
Mhm,
because
mhm.
then if I'm inspired, then other people can be inspired. But I would never want it to be pigeonholed into an area that I didn't like beyond the time I didn't like it. So if
Mm,
so acting was
mm.
something I always wanted to do. So I went into it and I loved it and still love it. Real estate held my heart for a while, and I love it, but it's not my passion, right? It is
Right.
something I do. It's a job for me.
Mhm.
I do enjoy helping other people start careers in real estate, but the transition really started when I became a mom through adoption. It was a very heavy year. In the beginning of the year of 2014, I lost my mother.
I was
10
gonna
months
say, I
later
remember
to
that.
her,
Mhm.
yeah, and
Mhm.
10 months later to her death date, my daughter's was going to be born, right? That was her due date. And there was a whole lot of going through IUI, IVF, all of those changes. I had my first IVF the week my mother passed away.
Now
And
you were
it
doing
was,
all this single? This was
yes,
something that you knew
single.
you wanted to do? So you started
Yeah.
this before your mom passed? Because the other thing we can add to the list for her is caretaker,
Yes,
caregiver,
absolutely.
caregiver, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't something I wanted to do. I wanted a husband. I wanted the traditional story, but it didn't
Right.
work out. And by the time, I realized that the fertility window was fast closing, it was time to do something very quickly. And so
Mhm.
I wanted to have a baby naturally. So that's
Yeah.
why I went through the IUI and IVF. Didn't work out. And I realized I could keep putting a lot of money and time and energy into this, or I
Mhm.
can pivot and become a mother another way. And that
Yeah.
was when adoption came into my purview. And so with adoption, that whole process happened so quickly in relative time to a black woman, that they tell a black woman can have
Yes.
a child by herself, single, adopting. I was
What is
told
it?
2.5 years.
Okay, I was gonna say
Yeah.
3. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be, right?
Yep.
It didn't take that long. Once I got my paperwork in, it was about 4 weeks before I got chosen. Yeah, and so, like, that same reaction, I was like, "Oh, okay." Head spinning, but
Right.
ready. My
Like,
family
this is actually happening.
this is happening, and I knew it was part of the journey of loss with my mother and gain with my daughter, right? It was a conversation that my mother and I had when she was on her deathbed. I
Mhm.
laid with her and I said, you know how much I want to have a child. When you go to heaven, just hold on to that baby till I'm ready. Well, she got up there and she got it ready fast.
Mhm, mhm.
And that journey of becoming a mother and wanting to have a very specific kind of relationship with my daughter's birth family, which would be
Oh,
an
yes,
open adoption,
yes.
I didn't have many people to ask questions about the process, how to do
Mhm.
that, how to develop a relationship. And so I created it myself, and I created this relationship with her birth parents, and it's been wonderful. And
Yeah,
that is what truly started me on my journey to becoming the kind of coach that I am. It went from just being a certified mentor to people wanting to get into real estate, to really, how do I affect immediate change in someone's life around what I call a life non-negotiable, right?
mm,
And
mm,
for me, my life non-negotiable was being a mother. I was not willing to
yeah,
leave this earth without having experienced that. And so that's what I use when I'm talking to my clients and they're going through these transitions. Like, what is it that you are not willing to leave this earth without having experienced? And then from there, we can have many other conversations
exactly.
and start a plan.
Right, because it gives them a sort of I don't even wanna say an end goal, it gives them a new starting point,
Right.
because it really isn't an end goal. It's a goal, but it's the goal
Right.
that's gonna actually traject and transition you into the next phase of your life. So, when you're
Right.
talking to folks, would you tell people what open for those who don't know, the difference? What's an open adoption as opposed to an adoption that would be considered not open?
Yeah, so in the past, many adoptions were closed because that's how the cultural identity of our America was.
Mhm.
But then it started to slowly transition to more openness. So open is, who the birth family is and they know who you are. Now, whether you have an open relationship beyond the knowledge of who they are and who you are, there are so many different grades of openness.
Right.
So my openness is what I espouse, if the situation allows, is that it's not just I know who you are and I may send the occasional picture. My daughter is her relationship with her birth mother and with me, all three of us, which is called the adoption triad, is
Mhm.
that we speak regularly as much as our schedules allow, send pictures, get on the phone. For Mother's Day, my daughter, she was like, I want to call her. I'm like, okay, get the phone out, let's go. So it's a moving process of
Mhm.
openness
Yeah.
that the adoptive parent controls. And obviously, you are doing this for the betterment of the child's psychological well being, more than
Yes.
my well-being, more than the birth mother's well-being. I need my child to be psychologically healthy and know that there's no shame around how she came to be my daughter, that she was loved from the very instance. And when you place a child in adoption, I try not to use the word put up for.
Yes.
When you
Yeah.
place a child in love with another family, that takes so much love from the birth parent that is probably more than I can even identify with.
Yeah. To love someone enough to let them go,
Right.
literally, to let them
And know
go,
that they will have a
and
better
a
life.
better to give them right, to give them that opportunity. The psychological well-being. I have a very dear friend who many years ago I found her birth parents. She didn't know who they. It wasn't even a legal adoption. It was a given away in the middle of the night kind of thing back in the
Wow.
day. And she grew up with so many issues around that, rashes on her neck and not being able to tell what family medical history is and all that. So the gift that you have given your daughter goes beyond uh, it just goes beyond anything a lot of people can imagine, because we don't think about those things as someone becomes an adult and they don't know they're adopted, or they know they're adopted but have no connection with that family, their
Right.
birth family. They can't ask those questions like, does anybody else have this, or
Right.
I get them, is anybody allergic? Just medical things that we don't think about, that I
Absolutely.
watched her deal with. And the psychological part was 10 times worse.
And
Just
it
feeling
could be
like,
that rash. That rash could have been a psychological
yeah,
manifestation of
of
not
yeah, of the
knowing.
stress and the discomfort and
Yes.
the anxiety and all of those things. So what was the most challenging thing, or one of the most challenging things, in terms of going through your adoption process was actually pretty was surprisingly smooth. But what was something that surprised you about motherhood?
You know what? First, I'm going to say what surprised me about the whole process, right? The
Mhm,
adoption process. Once we moved from having a middle person, like the social worker
mhm,
being the middle person between communication, we went from not having any contact at all, except through the social worker, to me being in the birthing room and having a conversation with three generations of women. So my daughter's birth mother, and her grandmother, all in the same room.
oh,
And I
wow.
looked at this young girl and I go, you know what? If I was in the same position, my family would show up just the way that they did. And so once we said, they said to me, do you mind if we don't use the social worker to keep in touch and we just stay in touch with each other? I said,
Oh my
absolutely.
gosh.
And so, Lisa, from that point, I was so happy with just being in the room for that second, because I knew nothing, very little about them, right? And the woman who was my daughter's birth mother. So I left the room just happy. I went downstairs
Yes.
to the cafeteria, happy, just like, oh
I
my
got
gosh, can you
goosebumps right
believe?
now.
Yes. And then I get a call in the middle of lunch saying, my daughter's going into labor. She wants you to be in the room. When I
Oh.
say I literally almost fell on the ground crying in tears, because it went from, I don't know anything, I'm so nervous, the process, is she going to change her mind, to like,
Mhm.
this girl has embraced me fully and completely to be in the room with her and her family as she gave birth. And then the doctor, after she gave birth, the doctor said to the whole room, who's the mother? And she said, she is.
Oh gosh, I'm about to
And this,
lose it. Woo!
right? That was a teenager who had the presence of mind, who knew what she
Mm.
wanted for her child. And with that, I can do nothing but honor her
Yeah.
and have a
This is
relationship with
such a
her.
beautiful thing for people to hear, because I think not just for people that might adopt, but for families thinking about adopting and for children, because a lot of people would never ever think that that experience where there were two other generations in the room with her supporting her
Yeah.
in giving her child up for adoption, right? They would never imagine that. And it changes everything for you, for that experience, and for the stories that your daughter now has. You were
Exactly.
you were loved, you were loved 3 generations deep before you even got here.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And that creates it's got to create a sense of support for you too. That
Absolutely.
there is a grandmother, there is a great grandmother. Like those
Right.
people exist for her. Her
Yeah,
genealogy is not just intact, but she's in touch with it.
exactly.
But for a
And
lot
so
of
there's
people,
no wondering.
powerful.
And
And for you to be
on
in the
my
delivery
side,
room,
oh my gosh, it was
is that your
exactly what
first
I wanted.
time? Was
Yes.
that ugh,
That was my first time. I had always wanted to be an obstetrician growing up because I loved babies. My mother passed away that year, but my aunt, her sister, only remaining sister, stepped in as mom. So she
nice.
was there with me, not in the hospital room, but
Mhm.
she was there with me in that first moment that I met the grandmother in the waiting room. And she just grabbed us both up together and said, "My family has been waiting for your granddaughter. We're going to love her so much." So I say all this to say, right? If we can be vulnerable in
Mm.
situations where we're not operating from a place of fear
Yes.
and we're not listening to what society tells us about adoption. Oh, she's going to want to take the baby back. You could never love that child as if it was your own. Yes, I can.
Right.
And if you saw her, she looks just like me. I say that her birth mother was assigned to me as the surrogate, the
Right.
spiritual surrogate, because
Before you even started looking, she was already
yeah,
waiting for you to get your
that
paperwork in
that
order.
she's my child, right?
Yeah.
I just don't have the stretch marks to prove it. But other than that, that child is my baby. If you look at her, you're like, "Are you
Yeah, she
sure?"
said, "Stop playing with me."
Yeah,
Nobody here is confused.
exactly.
Oh
But,
gosh.
so my daughter has it from both sides. She has a belongingness. And I wanted her to have that confidence. I didn't want her to be shaken by
Yes,
her story. Our origin story is our origin story. Everybody else has an origin story too. Some of
exactly.
them are not great, even if they come
Even
with
if they
a
have
husband and
biological
wife.
parents. Yes, that is not
Exactly.
that just because you
Right.
have both of your biological parents intact in your space with you does not mean that your origin story is delightful.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and what a
And
beautiful just what and see, I'm in a step family, so the how I relate to this is how the step family came together and how
right.
and sometimes how it didn't, you know. But when I talk about my sisters, I have sisters, and I have to, the only time I say stepsisters was when people get confused. When we were growing up, we had three last names in our house, and so they would be
Right.
like, "Well, how do you guys have?" And it's like, "Oh,
Right.
his kids, her kids, the kids before him, that kind of thing." And you just bond.
Right.
It's not always easy, but you bond. But
Right.
yours, I am with you. I think this was just like ordained way before you even filled out some paperwork looking for a
100%.
baby. This child was waiting for
Yeah.
your mom to find her.
One Well, that was a part of the process, and that was a waiting process. So even though I say it was fast, there was a long period of time between when my mother passed away and I started in the two rounds of IVF didn't work out, and I decided to go the adoption route. That process was very stop, start, and I was very frustrated with the
Yeah.
process. And then I had this conversation. God had a conversation with me. He's like, "Why are you trying to control this ship?" Right? I am in control here. I'm the pilot, and the baby I have for you is not ready yet.
Right. So
And
just chill.
once it was like clarity, so clear. Once I heard that and received it, I was like, okay, I'm taking my hands off the steering wheel. And then
Mhm.
boom, 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 boom. Was that child ready for me? Yes, the
Yeah.
right one. 10
It's
months to the day of my mother's passing. So
It's
I
really
always say they were
trusting
up
that
in heaven
process.
having a good conversation with each other before she manifested and
Right.
came down, you know?
She said,
So,
okay, it's time. We can do this now.
yeah, she's like, "I wanna hang out with my grandmother up in heaven first, so let me have a little
Ooh,
time first."
that
Yeah.
is wonderful. What has been, if I had to ask a parent, this is almost cruel. One of the most exciting things for you as a mom. You had 11
Oh,
years now. Pick,
I know.
and I know every
There's so
year,
many.
every week there's something that you could pick, but let's do that first year. That
First
first
year.
year of having an infant in your life.
So people say, like, I find that the older you get, people go, "Well, I want to adopt, but I don't think I want a baby because I'm older now. I want to have a toddler or older." I've always wanted a baby, right?
Mhm.
Babies, I love them, and so being able to, I had already bought like outfits before I knew I was having a girl, right? And they were like, "Well, what do you want?" I'm like, "I'll take whatever," but really secretly, I wanted a girl,
Right.
and so being able to put her in this outfit in the hospital
That
that
you
I had
bought.
purchased. Yeah, and it's funny because it had a V-neck kind of collar thing, and I didn't know how to put clothes on a baby, so I'm like, and I have a picture of my daughter. She's looking up at me like,
She
"You?"
don't know what
I'm
she's
I'm
doing,
going
and y'all let me go with her.
but that's her personality, and, it's funny because I watched my mother's personality transfer to my daughter, and I was like, "Well, how is that possible?"
Yeah, I
And
100% believe it.
yes,
I
my
100%
my
believe it.
and so she's very funny, she makes me laugh, I make her laugh, she tells me, she's, "Mom, you are the funniest person I know." And I'm like, "Thank you."
Thank y'all.
But, one of the things that made me realize how much of an influence I was in her life, we were at my, goddaughter's wedding, and Ife was like 3 years old, and she's like, "Da da 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 da, as well," in very early talker, "as well."
As
And
well. And
she looked at her and she
people are
said,
like,
"Well," and she's like, "As well." I said, "I don't know where she gets that from." She goes, "Are you kidding me?" She says, "You
right?
say that." And I was like,
Yeah, it's
"Oh, I
mini me.
do."
It's mini me.
It's like,
Let's just be
"Oh."
honest.
And so that's when one of the first times I realized, wow, my imprint on this child is real,
It's
right?
real.
We
It's
imprint
real
ourselves,
and it's lasting.
humor, anger, emotions, spirituality. We don't understand how much we influence that
Wow.
child that we have taken in. So
Mhm.
that's one of the funniest things. I was going to say, in the hospital, one of the most shocking things that happened is that the hospital gave me a room so that I could bond with my daughter.
Oh, what? So this
And
is something with an open adoption that people aren't going to necessarily get with a closed adoption, or is that still
well
possible?
well,
Because
it would still be possible,
are they there at
but
the hospital?
yes, we were both there at the same time.
No,
And
for if it was a closed adoption, is it normal for the people to have been at the hospital at the time of the birth? Not obviously in the
it could
birthing
be.
room.
Yeah,
Okay,
it could be, but it's very rare to have a closed adoption these days
okay.
because most parents want to know something about the
That's
child
actually
along the
good to
way.
hear.
Right. It's not healthy. It's not a
Mm-mm.
healthy way to go through
Yeah.
adoption. It leaves the parent with regret and wondering. And that's why I also said I want to make sure that I was in contact with them early on
Mhm.
because she was such a special kid. I was like, I don't want you to get to know her at 18.
Right,
I want you to get
exactly.
to know her
And miss
as I'm
all of
getting to
those
know her.
years. Yeah,
Yes,
and
exactly.
it changes everything. Well, I we could be talking about this for let me
Yeah.
before I transition to the book. You are
Hmm.
still working with, helping mentor and coach people through open adoption, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay,
And
so
I
people
started with just single women, but now I get
it's
couples coming to
anyone.
me too in their
Yeah,
40s and 50s going, this we realize that a child is missing in our relationship and we want one. And
awesome.
so, yeah, if
So
you
we
want an open adoption, you should come to me. If
yeah,
you want a closed
100%.
adoption, if you're not interested in having a relationship of some kind, then I'm probably not the right person for you. Or I'll,
Alright.
I'll help you just
So,
understand why
yeah,
it is important.
understand the reason, the
Right.
pros and cons of.
Right.
So the other thing I want to talk about is your book, The
Yes.
Importance of No Regrets. The Importance of No Regrets. Talk briefly about how you came about writing the book, because I saw that video as well.
Right. I
And
saw it
so
on your page.
yes, as soon as you started writing, I was like, oh, because I don't think you can watch his video and not have those thoughts going through your mind. So
Yeah.
tell the story of how you came about writing the book and how quickly you did it.
I saw it on your page, and I didn't even know he had passed. I was a huge fan of his because I thought he was so handsome from the Charmed days.
Yeah.
And then when I watched it, it just gripped me, and it reminded me of conversations that I certainly in some respect had with my mother, but then I wished I had had with my mother. And I wish I had had it from her perspective to me,
Mm.
like he was leaving for his children. And as I started going through it, and I had to pick up the pen. I just started writing and was at my computer, just like story after story of my life and
Give
how
his
I
name. Give his name, because I just went blank.
oh, Eric Dane. Eric
Eric.
Dane.
So, folks, if you haven't watched it, you can look it up. It's on Netflix. Eric Dane passed away from, was it Lou Gehrig's disease?
Right.
Or
Mhm.
right? And he did a interview on Netflix, which was basically a love letter to his children, to his,
Right.
to, I believe, his
His
daughters.
daughters.
And it's just, it's a riveting, beautiful, touching thing to watch someone who knows their time is short to do this. And it was promised that it wouldn't be aired until after he passed.
Right.
And so that's the video that Ayo is talking about.
Right. And it's so important and if you've ever had that experience of losing a loved one in the time period of when they find out they're sick and the treatments and all of that, we get into this place of, oh, I don't want to upset them. I don't want to have this conversation. It'll be too hard. But I remember from when my mother was going through one of her hospitalizations and it looked like she may not come out of the hospital. I said to her, I said, look, it's going to be devastating for me to lose you. I'm an only child, right? But my father had already passed. I'm like, it will be devastating to me, but it will be more devastating if you leave me in confusion with what goes where's the insurance,
Yes.
what's that? Like,
oh my
please
gosh.
don't do that. And so we had that conversation and we got her affairs in order, but enough of those conversations don't happen, right?
100%.
And I see what parents do, even going back to adoption, right? There are people who do not even know that they're adopted
They
and don't have those
die
kind of
and never
conversations.
know. They never tell. It's like they're going to
Exactly.
take these secrets to their grave because of embarrassment and shame, but you
Right.
leave a person here feeling like they're not fully themselves because they don't know where they came from.
Exactly. And there are people in their circle who know and who won't tell, right?
Yes. It's
And I
like
remember
a
hearing,
conspiracy.
right, like we have to
And so
protect her.
now
No.
the person, it's like they're not trusting any of you now.
Right,
It's like
right,
my parent died. You all knew, and no one thought I was worthy enough.
right.
I'm telling you that I got to come to New York just for like a weekend now, because now that you're saying this, my girlfriend, I'm going to interview her so that we can talk about this. We've been talking about writing something about finding her
Yes.
parents, but what was profound for her was finding the parents and how her life changed dramatically after she was connected to her
Right.
geological roots.
I
So
mean, just think about it. As kids, growing up with parents that we know, you still want to know. You want to know who you are.
right,
Who do I
even
look
beyond
like? Do I
before
have
them.
this trait?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Exactly.
So
And
tell
so,
people so she starts writing, folks. She watches this, and it's not a long video. It's not like it's a 90-minute documentary. It's not a very long video. And she sat down and started writing, and a book came out of it in a couple of days. So
yeah,
you were
in 3 days.
yeah, she was just being divinely inspired. Yeah,
I literally was in my bed.
just typing away.
I have the best bed, by the way, if you work from home, or it's the one that comes up and it sits as
Oh yeah, okay.
it's amazing.
Sleep
Amazing.
number?
No sleep number, but it's
Okay.
one of those, it comes
It
up and
reclines
the feet
and
come up.
like a
Yeah.
hospital bed. It's
Yeah.
Okay.
But
So 3
amazing.
days later,
So
people. So for those of you out here listening to this going, I think I could write a book. You could write a book.
you can do
And
it. You can
but you
absolutely
do
do
have
it.
to be once you are divinely inspired, once you really have something that you have to get out and you don't keep second guessing yourself, the book will come out. Tell people what the crux of the book is, because the title, I got to
Yeah.
read the whole title. You have it in
Yeah,
front of you. Read
please.
the whole title.
So it's the importance of no regrets, choosing courage, healing the past, and designing your second half.
Mhm.
Right? I mean, it's all right there. I mean, I
What
am,
what did that mean to you? Because that, we come up with these titles so other people
yeah,
can understand, but what did that mean for you?
because we all operate from a place, whether we realize it or not, of some record that's playing from a place of hurt or an unhealed section of our life. And usually comes from childhood. And if childhood wounds are not healed, then they just manifest and become larger in adulthood.
Mm,
And I mean, I had enough of those for sure. Growing up, I barely saw my father until I was about 18. I knew who he was. He was very famous, but I didn't have a relationship with him. Um, and so there are so many other childhood uh, things that I could talk about if we had longer.
mm,
But even the conversations that I wish that I had had with my mother, and knowing her regret, and knowing her story, she
mhm.
lost both her parents as a teenager, and that made her a certain person,
Yeah.
wonderful, loving, and caring. But there were conversations that still needed to happen. Right. And I do believe that we have the ability to choose our future. We can choose to continue to listen to that record playing in the background. You're not pretty enough. You're not tall enough. You're not smart enough. You're the girl. You have to take care of mom when she gets sick. You're this, you're that. All of those things. You can continue to listen to them, or we can make a choice and make a
Mhm.
plan to break that record, scratch that record. It's done,
Yeah.
and create a new recording that is fueling you.
Yeah.
And then choosing our second half. I'm 57.
Mm.
Right? I was supposed to be doing this work at least 10 years ago, and I was
You
so afraid
oh,
of not being
wait,
able to pay bills.
I just got goosebumps when you said I was supposed to.
Yeah, I
Like,
was
and I
supposed to do this work 10 years ago.
I felt that because that is probably one of the things that I'll go, if you had just not done 10 years, 12 years working with somebody else who didn't appreciate you helping them build their
Right,
sandcastles in the sky,
right.
you could have been. And I always catch myself because my dad used to go, shoulda, woulda, coulda. Shoulda,
Mhm.
woulda, coulda. Like, don't, and I said, I don't want to shoot myself to death because
Right.
I don't know what would have, I don't know if what I'm thinking now and how I'm feeling now, if me 10, 12 years ago would have had the capacity to do it the way that it's happening now.
Well,
So
you
there's
would have
a
had the capacity possibly if you had a coach, someone in your
possibly.
ear
Mhm.
that's positive and encouraging, right? And you didn't feel isolated in it, and you weren't worried about the financial repercussions of leaving what was the sure
Yeah, all
thing.
of that. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So when you say I should have, what is it? What does that mean for you?
I should have been doing this kind of coaching work 10 years ago. I heard very
Mm.
clearly to do this work from God, but then I was like, well, how am I going to
Ah,
pay the bills? How am I
okay.
going to do this? How am I
That's
going to do that?
thank you.
And
That see now
leave real
that's
estate
different.
right.
That's
Leave
different
real estate when
because
you're award-winning
award-winning
agent
realtor.
and
You
yeah,
have
you're
you're
like,
an
what?
author. You're a co-author of an award-winning book. What are you trying to
Right.
do? Why are you leaving this? See, that's
Exactly.
different though for me, Io, because when you say, for me, that's a prompting you ignored.
Mm-hmm.
And
Totally.
that's different than now being more mature, going, oh, I should have done this before. It like if it didn't occur to you before, that's different. But I do
Right, right.
believe when we ignore the prompting, I think that's where we can start having that feeling of what a shoulda, shoulda, shoulda,
Yeah,
shoulda, kind of regret because
right.
something in you said do it and you didn't.
Oh,
Yeah,
100%. No, something, it wasn't something in me that said it. It was
right.
God that said do it.
You
And
were
I'd
like,
ignored it. I'm like, not
I'm
ready.
busy.
Right. That
I'll
doesn't
get
make
back to you.
sense. It
Hold
just
on.
right.
Hold that thought.
I'm not getting how that is going to work.
Wait,
And so
I can't see that. Like,
exactly.
anybody asked you
Right.
what you can see? How many times
Right.
do I need to prove
Exactly.
myself to you? Yeah. And it's
100%.
interesting because acting career, voiceover career, real estate career, mentoring coach, all of these things, and you kind of go, hasn't really failed me yet. And somehow
Right.
I keep figuring it out, but now I done got too smart for my own britches.
Right.
I think I'm the
Exactly.
one figuring this out for me.
And
Yeah.
right. And it's one of those things where you go, okay, I always say God always gives you like the tap, right? When you first don't listen, and then it's like a little push, a little nudge, you get that little pinch, then you get the slap, and then you get the 2x4, right? I got
Like,
to
then
the
he just
2x4
the
stage.
rug out from under it,
Right.
right? It's
Right.
like
It was like, boom, are you listening now?
mhm.
And I don't want anybody to get to that place because it's very painful, right? It potentially involves loss. Like I had to go through all of these things in
Mhm.
my once
Girl, hold
thriving
on.
real estate business.
You
And
preaching to
then
a
he was
whole
like
choir
taking
over
one thing
here.
away. He's like taking one thing away. Are you ready? No, no,
Yeah.
no. I'm gonna hold on. Are you ready? And then you go, oh shoot. Hmm.
Mm. Mm.
Now I have no more
Right,
excuses,
you're like
right?
we're like, yeah. It's like,
I got to do
oh,
something different.
I guess I'm doing
Right.
this. Yeah.
Right.
I have a girlfriend that
Exactly.
used to tease me, and she used to say, "I think one of your gifts is faith." And I said, "What?" She said, "Yeah, one of your gifts is faith." She said, "Because you will swim so far out that you have no choice but to trust in him." And I'm like, "Because he keeps
Right.
saving me." So,
Exactly.
it's
And
like, and
that's where
now
I'm
it's almost
operating from.
it becomes a game. It's like,
Right.
I know we're gonna do this. I don't know how, but I know you're
Right.
gonna show
Right.
me. And you do
And,
have to have that. What do you want a reader to get from that book? If it's one thing that
right.
they read that book and can take away and hold on to, what do you hope that is?
and it's just the same with how I approached working with my clients who are adopting, right, and having a conversation with birth parents, right? It's have the difficult conversations and realize that they're not so difficult after all, right? If you can just we have to put on our big girl panties and boxer shorts for the
Oh,
guys and just have the
right.
conversations. Just start it because we start thinking way too much in our head for other people instead of
Mhm.
just connecting. So if we can even connect with ourselves and say, I really wish that situation had gone differently. And if it had
Mm,
gone differently, I could have done this. But it's not too late.
right.
I'm going to come to terms with that decision, that choice, whether it was a choice that we made ourselves or it was imposed upon us.
Mhm.
Have plenty of imposed
Right.
decisions on
Yeah,
my
yeah,
life,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But I want people to walk away understanding that it's okay. It's a chapter of your book. It's not your whole story. And you
Yes.
still have a whole story, a whole
You got more
several
stories to
chapters to
tell.
write.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
When you talk about the difficult conversations, give us 2 or 3 that you would say are the top conversations people should be thinking about having or planning to have
Right.
that we're missing.
If your parents are still alive, have a conversation about whatever it was that still sticks with you a little bit. Like, do you remember you told me that I was not smart? I'm just pulling something out of the air.
Mhm.
And the parent probably doesn't even remember that, but
Right.
that it's stuck with the child, right? Or even with a cousin, or I mean, I had to have a conversation with a family member about always in childhood, I was always made to fight another cousin, and I hated it. And I brought that conversation because it definitely shaped who I was.
Yeah, yeah,
And I had the conversation with them. And so it's easier than you think to have those kind of conversations if you approach it the right way. Sometimes you have to use somebody else as the model and
yeah.
have a pre-conversation, and it's totally okay if your parent or whoever it is no longer in your life and it's not safe to have a
Have
conversation
that
with them
conversation.
now. Have the conversation in writing, or or speak it, but we have to start
Purge it.
expressing
Yeah,
ourselves. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
You gotta get it
Not
out.
holding on to these anchors in our life that are keeping us from being who God intended us to be. So I
Mhm.
want people to be inspired to have the kind of conversation or leave the kind of message for your children, for your husband, for your spouse, for your family that Eric Dane did. And I'm
Yeah.
sure he left other messages, not just to his child. I'm sure he left it to his wife and other people. Let until so we don't have to get to the end of life,
Right,
to the
exactly. You
last
don't
few,
need to be
right.
on your
We don't need
deathbed
to be there.
to have those
Right.
conversations. You
And
you
he
you
has plenty of regrets about his drinking and,
Mhm.
all of the depression, not treating depression, right? So let's have these conversations now. Let's get the help that we need now, more so than ever. It's a culture that is open to
Mm.
helping you find. There are so many coaches that can
Oh
cover
my God.
everything.
You got coaches and therapists. As a
Right.
coach, I tell people therapy is the gift you give yourself.
Yeah,
And you may have a
absolutely.
coach and a therapist because we do different things. And you may find that you're going to a coach and your coach may go, you need to talk to a therapist.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
if you're working with a therapist and have a coach, let your therapist know that I have a coach because they should be able to work in tandem to
Right.
get you through the things you're dealing with in your past to where you want to move forward in your future.
Right.
Which is one of the things that Io does as a coach and as a mentor to help
Right.
find you where you are. You may still need to pick up some things from your past, like these conversations.
Yeah.
And I would say if you find yourself stuck, if those things are like haunting you, you can't move past them. That to me is usually a sign you
For
probably would
sure.
benefit from a therapist because you're
Absolutely.
being bogged down with it. So
I
I
had
love the idea of having the conversations to sort of help people in your life better understand. But I also think it opens the door for them to be able to have conversations. So you create something that can be passed on.
right. And have no expectation that they will understand what you're saying as well.
Mm.
I went through a period of time that I called several family members. This was on the other side of the family, and it was one in particular actually who had caused a lot of
Got it.
confusion. And I just was like, I can't hold it in. It's like, here, I have to get these words out, these emotions out. And I called her, and did it land? Did she understand? She was like, oh, I'm busy. Okay,
Right.
but I'm still going to tell you, I got to get this out. Now, will we ever talk again? Don't know. Not
Right.
important.
Mhm.
But I expressed myself, and it wasn't like you. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
Nope. I used my words.
Right.
I said how
As
I felt.
well.
It made me, what you did made me feel this way,
Yeah.
and as well, right? And you know, that's it. We don't ever have to have a conversation again.
Yeah.
I don't need to have a conversation. I needed to have that conversation with her for many years because I was like, I'm not going to deal with it. I'll forget
Yeah.
it.
You
It
tried to
doesn't
tame
bother
it
me.
down and
Yeah,
it just kept surfacing.
right.
It just kept
And as a
surfacing.
coach, I can't live in a place where I'm not expressing myself if I want people to express themselves. I
Yeah.
have to come from a place of vulnerability so that you can feel that I'm not a plastic person. In fact,
Right.
Lisa, if I was talking with somebody the other day, if you knew all the things that I have had to deal with
Wait,
in my
can we
life,
get on that bus together? It's like,
right?
yeah.
Right. You would never, you'd be like, what? What?
Right.
Huh? Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I tell
but
people
I'm a fighter.
you're
I'm a
coaching
I'm a
from a place.
survivor.
You're coaching from a real place. Very
Yeah,
often we end up doing these things because it's something we needed or we wish we had, or we don't want somebody to have to go
exactly.
through quite as much crap as we did to get to that place.
Absolutely.
I think one of the
Absolutely.
things that I have said is I would go through the same spiraling out as anybody else if I didn't know that there were tools available for me to use to move me through.
That's it. That's it.
There is no escape in this. You're going to have get coaching and learning to be a coach, and being coach doesn't mean never going to have another problem again. Everything's good.
Nope.
No, it means it's probably not going to kill you,
Right.
and you
You
have
have
tools to
tools.
get you through, and you have enough sense
Absolutely.
to, I say, phone a friend.
Absolutely.
Phone the right friend,
Absolutely.
but phone a friend, because we all know some of the friends are not the friends you should be calling because they're the reason you need to phone another friend.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think of the book as a tool.
Yes.
And there are stories in there, personal stories. There are stories from clients. There are stories from the real world that is already out there. And then how to approach it, how to change your second half, like how to design it. You don't have to stay in the same job for 40 years because you are there and that's what your parents did. And you don't have
Uh,
to not adopt a child because your parents think that you should be married and
and you shouldn't do
live
it because
your
you're
life.
single. It's
Right.
single. You're single. It's going
Exactly.
to be.
Meanwhile,
It's don't.
meanwhile, I have
Wait a
I have
minute.
married friends who are
We're not
basically
listening to
raising
the
their own child.
bullshiggity.
Right. A little
Have
stuff.
all kind of props,
Right.
but
So
it's like
at the end
stop
of
with
the
the
day, it's
shoulda.
your life. It's
Yeah.
your life. Live
Yeah.
it.
If you are living for everybody else right now, when they die, who will you blame not living your life
Right.
on?
Right. And I can say that was one of the things that I consistently have not cared for the most part about what other people think, because I do march to my own drum.
Mhm.
Um, and there are certain areas I'm like, well, yeah, I kind of do want to, I want to feel like I'm part of the group. But then
But
again, I'm like, nah, that
yeah,
don't make sense to me.
yeah. Do you ever think to yourself, "I do a lot of stuff by myself."
Yeah, I
Yeah,
do. And
yeah. Yeah,
I
I learned that I really like being around me. Like, my
yeah,
sister and
yeah.
I used to joke on Friday nights, we'd call each other, that was our date night, and we would
Right,
both be
right.
home alone with our glass of usually my non-alcoholic wine from Whole Foods when I had my
Mm-hmm.
little apartment in LA, and I would have my grapes and my cheese and my crackers and my chocolate, and
Right.
in my pajamas, and people would think something is wrong.
Yep.
I was like, "No, because if you can't be a good date to yourself, how will you even know
Exactly.
when you find somebody else who can be?"
I
They
used to love traveling when I traveled and I was with FX and I was going to these different cities and
Mhm,
interviewing people. I would be the only talent, and then they would have like a sound person they pick up locally. I'm
mhm.
not going to hang out with them necessarily. Camera person. I would go sit and eat dinner by myself. I
Oh
actually
my
enjoyed it.
I
I enjoyed
love
it.
traveling by myself. I
Yes.
try to do it even when I'm traveling with the family. I will go places a couple days before they get there, or
Right.
find things to do on my own, or just have time to myself, even if it's on a ship. I did a photo shoot on the ship last month. I set up a camera
It
and
was
everything in the
beautiful.
library on the
Right.
ship and took those pictures that everyone is now seeing. That was me
Right.
with a camera on a tripod on a boat with people walking by not
Exactly.
caring. That's the other thing. We learned that people don't care half as much as we want to think they do. They just don't. Their
Exactly.
own
They
lives are
forget.
happening.
They've
So,
already forgotten so many like 5
yeah,
seconds later.
yeah, they
I
got
mean,
their own
even
stuff
this
going
cover,
on.
the cover I
Did you
did and
I was gonna
I
ask you
designed
about
that.
that because
Yeah,
it was so quick. You were
yep,
talking about this. I wrote a book in 3 days, but and next thing I know, she had a cover, and I remember going, "That girl did that cover. She better go ahead."
and I did it, but that wasn't the first cover, right? I wanted to pull into the feel of the glaciers because I was going to Antarctica. I was
Right.
bringing 12
Oh,
women to
that's where I wanna
Antarctica,
go next. I wanna go
and the
there.
glacier,
The
I always
blue and the white.
yes,
I got it.
exactly.
I picked up
You
on it.
got it?
I did. I was like, "It's cool. It's
Yep,
breezy."
yep. And
Yep.
then
I was like,
I love glaciers because glaciers, and I talk about this when I do my talks. What you see above ground, above the sea
"Yep,
level, is only about 30% of that iceberg.
yep,
The rest of it is below level. That's our
yeah,
subconscious. That's that record playing. It's our habits. It's our
mhm,
learned responses, and it's fueling everything above the sea level, what we actually put out
yeah,
to the world. And then if we realize that there's another level to that iceberg, it's the area above us, right? That is called the superconscious that we can tap into. It could be the Holy Spirit, if you call it the
mhm."
Holy Spirit. It's not just, we are not just this one-dimensional being. We have this ability to pull into us
I had things
everything that we
popping
need.
up. Okay, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I had things popping up on my screen just now, and I don't know what they were, and I was like, "Is this they trying to tell me something?" No, I love
Right.
the metaphor and the concept of that glacier, and I've seen people have probably seen that
Hmm.
image. What's beautiful is to be able to connect that and go someplace where you're literally seeing glaciers. So talk
Yes.
about the Antarctica experience. Give us the
Yes.
name. Tell us a little bit how that came about, and I know earlier you said it was moved, so give us the breakdown, the detail
Yes.
on that.
So, my company is called She's Extraordinary. That's the name of my coaching company, and I'm struggling now because a lot of men are like, "But is this only for women? Can I could really use your help." So I'm like, hmm. So we'll figure that out.
Oh,
But it's
we
called
can talk
She's
about that.
Extraordinary. Yes, because
Mhm,
I just think women are amazing. What we do on a daily basis, what we are capable of, bringing life, we are the feminine, we are the conscious, the subconscious, all of these different things. And I love working with women. So I was talking with my business partners, and we were talking about Antarctica and potentially going there. I said, you know what? I have a really good friend who's also a client who is the sales director for a polar expedition company. By the way, a black woman,
What?
And I texted her later. I was like, "What would it be like to, get a group of women to go?" She's like, "No problem. Brrr, you're ready." I was like, "Really?" I mean, it was that fast. I was like,
I
"Okay, I guess
cannot
I'm going."
tell you. I can't even the kids I can't even tell you. You can't see it. I have a vision board on the wall over here. It's like it's bigger than my screen. And one of the things in the corner is my cruise in the clay because we do cruises every year.
Right.
And I've been saying for years, I said, I'm going to do a women's event on a cruise ship. That's going to,
Yes.
yeah. So when I
And so
saw
this
your
is it.
thing, my first thing was, oh, maybe I'll go. And I'm like, put one more thing on your calendar. I double dare you. I double dare you to
Well,
try to squeeze one more thing. But
based on the way the world is working right now, we have made the decision to do it for 2027. So you
okay,
have time. It'll be November 11th through the 22nd of 2027. That gives you plenty of time to get your early bird
11
discount.
through
22.
11
Oh,
through the 22nd. Folks, write
yep.
this down.
Yep.
November 11th through the 22nd of 2027. You can go
Power
on now.
numbers.
Give us the name.
Yep. So it's called the She's Extraordinary Mastermind Retreat to Antarctica, and we'll be on the Ocean Victory. And you can go with 3 people in a cabin. You can go 2 people in a cabin with a balcony, or you can do solo travel. But we will have masterminds. We will have a time for you to just explore on your own. We'll do solar plunges. I mean, solar polar plunges. Um, they have photography classes. You can do kayaking, 5-star hotel, and we're going to meet in Chile. It depends on
Mm,
this one, probably Buenos Aires, actually. And I will treat everyone to dinner and tango lessons before we make our way to Ushuaia, which is at the southernmost point of the hemisphere. It's the southernmost city. And then from there, we board our 5-star cruise ship,
this
only less than 200 people on the ship, everything
next
included.
yeah, see, I love a good vacation. I love a wonderful cruise. We'll be in Japan next year cruising.
Okay,
Just came back
nice.
from South America. So yeah, we were
Ooh,
at a tango event probably about
put me
5,
on your
6 weeks
list.
ago.
Put me on your
Yeah,
list.
you know what? I have to because but I saw this and I'm not kidding. I was looking and I was like, because I just do this. It's like, I don't know how you're gonna do this for me.
Right.
So we're gonna have to stay. I'm definitely gonna be tracking this. I'm looking forward to the book coming out. I'm
Yes.
gonna put your website information to make sure everybody can
Thank
get it.
you.
But it is bookayohaynes.com, right?
Yep. Yep. Or you can go to shesextraordinary.com.
Okay, or shesextraordinary.com, either one of those, so you can get information on the book, you can get information on the mastermind cruise for next year. And folks, I know some of you are going, Antarctica. Like I didn't do
Right.
Iceberg one year because I didn't want to be cold for a whole week. But one of the places, Alaska, and I think the Antarctica, it is so beautiful. It is so
Yeah.
beautiful, and it's a once in a lifetime thing. So even if it may not have been on
Absolutely.
your bucket list, you now have time to get on YouTube and start researching
Right.
it and learning and seeing what's there. And the fact that you have a Black woman taking you and a Black woman who's working for the organization who plans these, come on,
Yes.
people. It's time to stretch
And
out.
and
We
you
don't
know
have to
what?
go to the Bahamas and Jamaica all the time.
And that's the point, right? We can always go to those places. When are you going to Antarctica? It's one of the last
That's what
places
got
of
me.
right. Like
Literally,
we
you
don't
in that orange jacket with the
Yep.
I was like,
Red
I grew up in
jacket.
Wisconsin. I don't do cold anymore if I don't have to. But that
Right.
I was
Me
like,
too.
but this is different.
Right.
That's
And
my
especially after this New England winter we had,
mm-mm.
but experience over the natural, right?
Exactly.
I think
Beautiful.
of Antarctica as a supernatural place where
It's like
God
the
is
frontier.
his fingers right. You
Yeah.
see the up close the beauty of his work. I mean, I've
Yeah.
I've traveled around the world, so I have a travel bug. I can get past cold for a few days, and it's like 40, 50 degree cold because it's a
Yeah.
springtime,
Okay.
right?
It's not Wisconsin
No,
at
it's
15
not.
below and you still gotta
No,
go to
no, no, no,
school
no.
cold.
Look, they even have people who will camp during that
Oh,
time
oh
on the
yeah.
ice. That's not me.
100%.
I will
Yeah.
be inside on the boat, in the spa, in
Right.
the
There you
whirlpool,
you
all
have
of
other
that.
options, people. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But yeah,
But
it
and you
was
don't have
for
to
me,
buy any
it was one of
any
those experiences. And like you said, it's a 5-star experience, so it's going to be well done, it's going to be quality, it's going to be beautiful, and it can be life changing if you make it that
Absolutely.
as well.
And and people as well. And people always say, "Well, what is a mastermind?" Well, a mastermind is a group of people who get together and share what it is that they are experts at. So you have the opportunity to be in a small circle of 12 women. If we go to higher, great. But
Mhm.
12 women who are bringing their own expertise and are able to share in a circle in a way that you would never be able to do. That's what we need, right, Lisa?
Yeah,
We
yeah,
need
yeah, yeah.
to
And
to
for
we
consecutive
need
days.
women knowledge.
It's not a 2-hour mastermind. That I
No.
think is what makes it, that's what was attractive to me, to have an experience out on a ship, out on the water. You have your own time, but to know that you have a set amount of time each day to commune with these other people. For me, women.
Exactly.
I'm like you. I tell
Yeah.
people it's women and a few extraordinary men, but I stopped apologizing that I
Right,
don't do
right,
men. And I'll say this because it's okay for us to want and need our own space. And it's not excluding them. I get men that will text me, well, it's men have that problem. I said, I know they do. And if you find someone who focuses on them, I will share that information
right, right,
because I'm not trying
exactly.
to do everything all the time for everybody right now.
Right, right.
It's so, and so then it's like have a separate thing for men, because once, I hate to say this, but it's true. Once we bring men into that space, the space is going to change.
The conversations
The
change,
conversations are gonna, and
right?
and men
The
know that too.
vulnerability
When a
changes.
woman walks into a barbershop, the conversations change.
Right, right.
And so
Absolutely.
it's okay for us to have these spaces like this. It's not saying there's anything wrong with you and something else can be done, but it irks me a little bit when people want to decide, well, you're doing something wrong because you're not including my group. No, you do something
Right.
for that group
Yeah.
and I'll share that information, because we don't
Great.
have to do it all the time. It's
And
exhausting.
I love the work that you're doing. I mean, I know it started with divorce and now it's transition life
Yeah.
transitions. Right?
Yeah.
You're working from what you know, your own
Yeah.
experience and how you crafted your next steps.
Right. And I'll tell you one of the things before I let you go. What I love is I look at everything. We look at everything through our own frameworks very often. And you took accountability in so many different areas, especially deciding on motherhood. It was like, what do I need to do to make that happen? And it wasn't like everything was going smoothly. You were dealing with your mom, you were a caregiver to your mom who was ill, and you still knew that I have to own this if it's going to happen. And your
Absolutely.
alignment, we've heard you talking about it. There is such a spiritual component to how you live your life and who you are, that finding that alignment wasn't even really a stretch. It was just reminding yourself that it was already there and trusting in it,
One
right? You
$100%.
this whole book is about communication. It is the power of us and the importance of us communicating. I always say first to ourselves, because when we lie to ourselves first,
Yep.
and then to the people around us, so that we can have a better experience together, improve the relationships. And then the component for me, the end of my act, is trust. It's being able to trust in your higher power, in that thing that you believe in outside of yourself, and then trusting in yourself, because without that, you will never trust anyone else. It it
Absolutely.
it breaks down internally first.
And I always laugh now when God just shows up and does something incredible. I was like,
There you
"All
go
right,
again.
you did again."
Look at you with your bad. Look at you.
Right, right. And by the way, so you were talking about the AI, right? So coming up, I will be having something called the AI Action Lab, where
Yes.
it's a 2-day event, and I'm gonna by the time this airs, we'll have a date. But it's like you
Okay.
show up with one thing that you need to get done in those 2 days, and I'm gonna show
Okay.
you all the AI tools that you can possibly use to get it done.
Did you
And
also
so,
get certified in AI?
yes, I have 2 certifications in
I was
AI.
gonna say, I knew I needed to add something else to this list,
Yeah,
just one more thing. And if all
yeah.
of that does not seal the deal on how amazing this woman is and what the synergy is here, my thing is, I tell people act in joy. A.A.C.T, accountability, alignment, communication, and trust in joy. Ayo means joy.
Yes. Yep. My mama
I
knew what she was talking about.
can't make this stuff up, people. You can't make it up. The synergies are
I
just
know.
all around you. So, is
It
there
is.
anything that we haven't talked about that you just want to leave people with?
Oh, goodness. We talked about so much. Have loved my time
I love
here.
this.
This has been amazing. I want to just encourage people to find that place within themselves where they're comfortable with who they are without
Mhm.
apology. You
Mm.
know, that doesn't mean you be mean and you're just unkind, but to find that thing that lights you up, that you cannot live without having experience, that life non-negotiable, and
Mm.
start setting a plan in action to achieve that. And whatever it was, you can have a clue here. Usually, the thing that lit you up as a child is what
Mm.
lights you up as an adult. And you may have put it to the side. You may have said, not now, or that's a childish thing. Go back to that thing that you really enjoyed, even if it's just salsa dancing or dancing in general. You don't have to become
Mhm.
a professional dancer.
Right.
Just add it back to
Right.
your life. It's a source of joy, and even if whatever it is, if it's artwork, if it's doing a podcast, do those things that light you up so that you can express yourself. And then in expressing yourself, you actually can become actualized. You can be who God chose you to be on this earth.
Yeah.
And we need some good people on this earth to
We
change what's
Ooh,
going on.
yes, we absolutely. I'm on that word. We are out of here, people. Thank you
Okay.
so much. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. So good.
Thanks for watching this episode. Now, go make your next act your joy act.